Seems to be flip-flopping a bit. Can you explain why Paris was such a great result and this letdown?
I think that Nakamura is uncharacteristically tired. I mean, that's the only explanation I can come up with because it is quite unusual. I don't think it's overconfidence.
And there you go.
And we go to Leuven for a quick comment from Alejandro and Maurice.
I said that like,
well, Alejandro is down in the playing hall, but I was in the players' room, and the body language difference is so interesting. Anand was pensive, thoughtful, clearly a bit more agitated as he knows he has to focus on this game. On the other hand, Magnus was loosey-goosey, all smiles, completely relaxed. I mean, you think he was just hanging out with the boys playing Blitz as opposed to trying to win the Grand Chess Tour here in Leuven. So if body language says anything, Magnus is feeling pretty good going into this game.
Some of those photos of Magnus in his first World Championship where he's like spread out over the chair. He looked like the California boy, as he said.
Exactly, but I remember the swimming pool getting dunked at the end of that match as he pulled off a win in Chennai.
Very iconic photograph indeed. And let's take a look and see what opening we've got here. It looks like another Ruy Lopez. No, I'm sorry, Joko Piano.
Yeah.
Italian game with a closed center, and
that's what we saw.
Anand has won a really nice game in this variation against Giri in yesterday's Blitz. So I like this choice, and we'll see.
Well, Vishy, one of the most experienced players in this line, well, everybody's playing e4, e5 defenses, and Magnus seems perfectly content. After all, he's the one with the 2-point lead as we see it on our board, and we're keeping an eye on the players. I just love the staging of this Leuven event. I can't tell you, your next move has really put on a fantastic tournament here in Belgium.
Indeed, the playing hall is just so beautiful, and it's great to see so many spectators. I mean, especially on the weekend, but even on a Monday.
Well, it's so unusual for a tournament to end on a Monday. I had to check the tournament calendar like 3 or 4 times to make sure I believed that Monday was the final day, but indeed it is.
And so here in this position, we see
rookie that, wants slow play.
That's right. Magnus had just played the move A5.
I like A5. You know, you challenge for the dark squares, but Magnus is treating the position differently than the other players. So
no bishop E6 yet.
No.
Yeah.
No bishop E6.
No bishop E6. And other ideas we've seen sometimes is knight G6, king H8.
Knight G6, H6, rook E8, C6, D5 would be kind of standard there.
And we do see the move knight G6.
We did see knight G6 after all. Okay, well, at some point, we need to see this break D3, D4. We just have to protect this pawn on E4 in order to get that move in. So Queen C2 strikes me as the most natural move in the position. I think Vishy did something else, though. Bishop B3. Again, a very slow play.
Well, Magnus rarely gets outplayed in these sorts of positions. It's usually concrete problems that he might struggle with, some active defense that he needs to find, because just slow playing these positions is totally suitable for his style, and he has a great understanding in the Spanish, like one of the best players ever in this opening.
So Bishop B3, again, just to go back just to this moment after the move knight G6, I was going to say Queen C2 I think would have been met by C6 with his own idea for black of getting in D6, D5, and that move C6 clearly is preparing that. Eric.
What's White's advantage here? I mean, you got the dark squared bishops off, you have no structural defects as black, you got A5 for A4. I don't see the pull for White compared to a normal Spanish where you have more pieces on the board. Here, Magnus is happy to trade off, the bishops and operate like this, but he's got a symmetrical position with. I don't see anything here, so he has to be very happy.
Absolutely, I agree completely. We've just seen 2 retreating type of moves: Bishop C4 to B3 to C2. Finally, we do see the move D3, D4. I wasn't sure why the move rook E8 was played. I thought D6, D5 was compelling and strong. Rook E8 allows this move D4 because in case of a capture, there's this nice queen takes D4 and refortifying the pawn on E4.
Well, I think Magnus wanted Vishy to play D4. We've been seeing him allow opponents to attack and open position up and give some counterplay. Vishy just took on E5,
Queen
And
C7 takes.
unless I'm certainly missing something in this position, Black should be very happy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we don't normally want to take on D4,
Black
right?
may be on the
E5.
better side of this. The pawn is on E4 for white, E4 and A4 on light squares, the same color as the bishops. I think this is more now comfortable equality for Magnus, and he can start looking to push soon if Vishy plays pensively, such as the way Nakamura played yesterday against Magnus.
Yes, and a change of plan. Vishy altered his play. He played the move G2, G3, playing against this knight on G6. Quickly, some moves were played, H6, Queen E2, and moving his rook again from E1 to D1. And now, the only thing I see is either you want to establish the knight on F5 or C4. You'd rather have the light square bishops off. B2, B4.
B2, B4. What if you just take on D1, play rook D8? He played knight F8. It looks like. Is that what I'm seeing?
Yeah, it looks like knight F8 indeed.
I like that move as well because again, this move G3 really did corral the knight. So the knight looking for brighter pastures, and if
This
white
is yeah.
ever were to play B4, B5, by the way, then the C5 square becomes a very compelling outpost. So knight C4 by Vishy.
Well, now
Knight C4 and exchange
Magnus
on
immediately
B4.
taking there, and now maybe bishop G4. Did he play it right
yes,
away?
right away.
This
Instantly.
is a great variation because now if you play knight E3, I'm just going to play bishop H5 and keep the pin on, and it's very unpleasant because then knight E6 is coming in, jumping to that D4 square. This position is really turning in favor of Magnus.
Yikes, I
which
totally
was
agree.
expected like 10 moves ago. The way Anand played.
Well, there's one trick in the position I see, Eric. How
Yeah.
about rook takes D8, rook takes D8, H3, because the pawn on E5 would be hanging in this case.
Well, what if I just take and queen F3 and knight E6?
Well, rook takes D8, queen takes D8 by Magnus instead.
But yeah,
Rook
so
take-
otherwise I'd take rook D8, H3, I'd take on F3 and play knight E6, knight D4.
Agreed.
And then that's just, yeah.
Agreed. But I was thinking, this pin, bishop G4, really is a very annoying one.
And
And now Vishy's followed it up with rook D1 and
Rook
quick
D1.
queenie.
Queen.
Looks like a quick queen E7.
queen E7
vibe.
makes sense. I mean,
Because
if you
still
play
can't take on
B5,
E5.
but knight E6 is going to be nasty. Or if you play B5, you might put that knight to C5. But again, Vishy in some trouble here.
That's right. So you can play knight E6 anyway because after knight E5.
Well, E5 is hanging, as a knight C4 takes E5. So Vishy
Right, but
just played rook B1.
there's still knight D4 in those lines. That's
What, after
the
rook
problem.
B1, wouldn't be
Oh,
surprised.
especially after rook B1.
I wouldn't be surprised to see
There's
bishop
still-
F3, knight E6 here.
Bishop
Well,
F,
so if you play knight E6 right away, which actually would happen now, knight E5, there's knight
Knight
D4.
E5,
Knight
knight D4,
Queen,
queen D3, and I'm not sure.
Well, you can take
Ma-
everything.
Magnus shouldn't have done this, quite frankly.
So you can't play rook
He-
D8 because there's just knight G4, huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
well,
So knight F3, knight F3, knight E4 is okay.
Yeah.
But I think Magnus let his advantage slip
He
somehow.
totally did. He totally did. I think if you take on F3, cement that knight on D4, it has to be a good knight against the inferior bishop. But
So now he's going to have to acquiesce just to knight F3, and knight takes E4.
Let me just flip back and forth on my board for a second.
Yes,
Sorry about
yeah.
that, guys. He did play knight E5, by the way.
I'm very surprised by this.
Magnus definitely letting some opportunity slip by. And
Now his body language, actually, you see that he's kind of grimacing a little bit here, not happy with the last couple of moves after gaining an advantage with black.
Slight
He does
advantage,
have Vishy outclocked,
outclocked. I
but
like that.
a lot of times
1.5 minute to 2. Yes.
it's so funny how like when they think for 10 seconds, they often think for 30 seconds, and they either play instantly or they think for like 20, 30 seconds. You see that a lot at this level
Absolutely.
because there's no point of like the in-betweener where you just end up playing the instinctual move anyway. You might as well think and make a better decision or just play instantly.
Yeah. Now, how should Magnus continue? I don't see anything better than
Better than
knight
knight
F3,
F3,
knight
yeah.
F3, knight E4, and probably that will be a draw.
And that's what
he
he
has
has
played
done.
knight F3, and queen takes E4, he decided. Regaining his pawn. Let me just put those moves on my board. Knight f3, knight f3, queen takes e4. We've seen on the webcam.
We see an exchange of queens.
Queen takes e4, knight takes e4. And, well, rook b3, just keeping that knight out of the c3 square, and the knight dropped back to f6.
Yeah, well, right now, if you're Wesley So, you're Leuven Aronian, you pretty much have to win. They both have white. They're both playing guys in the lower halves. Because the draw is still okay for Magnus. It's really more of a case...
They need to start bridging the distance, indeed.
And by the way, guys, again, I'm just looking at this position. I'm still liking Magnus's chances. After the move king g2, as expected, there's this move bishop e6, and that's very annoying because now...
So what if I play
to
rook
d5,
e3, rook e3, and after bishop d5 I take on e8, I play g4,
Oh,
preparing
no.
king g3.
Rook e3, I'll be happy to injure your pawns. Rook takes e3, f takes e3, knight g4.
Oh, I'm looking at a different position then.
Oh, sorry.
King g2, I thought
Rook
bishop
e3
e6,
now,
bishop e6 was played on the board, that's what...
And bishop d5 was played, king f1, knight
Now
quickly
h-
went to g4, and
Now
Magnus up a
is...
pawn.
He's up a pawn. Because he can't take on f3 because of knight h2 check.
And just, wow.
He can throw in bishop e2, that might be...
That's what he's thinking about.
Yeah.
And I think he did, actually. No, he didn't. It went bishop takes g4,
I think the king
g2.
is worse on f1 though.
Yes, so
So
very
bishop
quickly,
g4.
king g2, and Magnus up a pawn, king f8. So definitely the first part of today has gone in Magnus's favor.
And we'll see if he can do the job in this game and really get a commanding lead here in the tournament. Carlsen offering a trade of rooks here.
Something that can't be avoided. Now after rook
That's
c8,
right.
Black's king, unfortunately, is too close. The very highly desirable
Yikes.
b6 by white is off, and now just simply b6, and I think this is just dead one bishop ending for Magnus.
Right, because he's
This
just going
is
to
too
corral that
easy.
pawn on b5.
Exactly. This is too easy now.
And
Vishy
Vishy
just simply
actually just
resigned.
resigns. If bishop b4, you just play b6. The pawn's going down.
Wow.
Magnus wins another game.
Magnus taking advantage
Let's
of
see.
every opportunity being presented. And what other games are going on?
Competitors have only drawn their games.
So
2.5 point lead with 6 rounds to go.
in the previous round, he was the only decisive win. Is that the same for this round as well?
No, there Nakamura won as well.
Exactly. Hikaru did.
Nakamura won, but Nakamura essentially out of the competition. And Eric, what do you make of this? Is Magnus wrapping this up?
Magnus is wrapping it up, and other people are taking too many draws. Not me either. I mean, there are tour points at risk here, but it'd be nice to see some more risk. For example, even in this position between Wesley So and Anish Giri, if Wesley really, I mean, he's saying Magnus win, maybe he thought I can't catch him because he could still play on here. There's still ways. I mean, you could be sure maybe Magnus or Hikaru would play this position on. So right now, I think people are getting pretty afraid of Magnus, and it's up to him to just close this out.
Very good. He's looking good as our world champion.
That's right. The world champion are really showing his skills despite having a pretty terrible first day. And we do have Maurice Ashley with the world champion.
We are with the #1 player on the planet, Magnus Carlsen, after 2 decisive games. Magnus, both games, your opponents decided to stop when, okay, maybe they were worse in the last game. Vasily could have sacked on f2. This one, you're clearly winning, but maybe should have played a couple of more moves. You seem like you're pretty much hypnotizing them right now.
Well, I think Vishy was very short on time as well. And there really aren't many chances to save the game. So.
2.5 point lead is pretty good at this stage.
Yeah, it's 2.5 now. That's nice.
You seem relaxed going into the game. Just overall, are you feeling like the worst is behind you? The blunder from the first day of Rapids is long gone, and now you're in control?
Well, the second game today helped me a lot, and probably it was good also to have a very complicated game in the first round today. I didn't play very well, but helped me to get into some kind of rhythm. And now, yeah, in the last game I was calm, and I played better than I did the rounds before.
Well, that word rhythm means a lot in chess. Congratulations on your victory.
Thank
and
you.
we'll see if he's going to keep that rhythm. It's looking pretty bad for the field right now. Magnus Carlsen, 2.5 points. in clear first place and in control of the Grand Chess Tour here in Leuven.